All right, so welcome everybody. Today we're talking about virtual MBG and navigating virtual MBG. So today, to start kind of with the virtual MBG concept, we're going to talk about how we got where we got. So the first thing that happened for us is as soon as quarantine lockdowns went down, the garden sent everyone home, and we tried to find ways to engage with our public differently. And that actually created a working group called the Virtual MBG Task Force. And they have representatives from every department. So while out there you've probably seen videos from Cassidy, links that have been shared by different people, every single department, horticulture, education, as well as our maintenance teams, everyone basically, communications, all sat to have a weekly meeting where they look at how to share our products and our different processes virtually. And out of that came a whole lot of different ideas. And some of those you have seen and some of those you have not seen. So today, we are going to share some of those things that are being produced and also things that will continue to be produced. Because even though the garden has been reopened, many of us, especially on our education teams, we're still working from our houses because we don't have that public meeting space we used to have. So it's giving us as an opportunity of how do we get ourselves out there as educators, share all of the great things that the garden has to offer, including knowledge. And for you as volunteers, how do you share all of that great information as well? Since you cannot necessarily be on garden grounds either, we're all stuck in this together. This is one way that you can help promote the great garden work out there and get the work that's getting done at MBG out to other people and maybe even reach audiences that we haven't had the opportunity to reach before. So that was a whole lot of words. So to get started, I'm actually going to go ahead and share my screen, and it's going to come up on a fairly familiar page to all of you. So I will open that up right now. So the first thing you're going to see is our lovely Missouri Botanical Garden landing page. And as we get started in this, before I go too much further, I want to ask a couple questions of the group, which is, how many of you currently use Facebook? You can just write yes or thumbs up in the chat. Andrea, how many are you seeing over there?
Okay, we've got a few yeses, a no, and a sorta.
No and a sorta. Okay. So several people are using Facebook. I know that we also do have a Facebook community group for volunteers out there. Facebook is one of the big tools for the garden to put materials out there, but if you are a Facebook user, it is also a great tool for you to participate with sharing the garden. So as we go along, I may have a comment where I say, and if you share this to Facebook, that's one way of promoting it out to your family and friends, since it takes a while to get all of our messages out in certain reach. So here on the first landing page of the Missouri Botanical Garden homepage, the first thing that you're going to see right here is a lovely play button. If you haven't watched this video yet, that is the welcome back walkthrough that Cassidy and Christina did. So it gives you an idea that if you haven't been back to the garden yet, what you can expect to see when you get your tickets back to go. I'm very eager to eventually see the garden. It's been a while. And that will be one spot that we can go. The other big thing to look for on this homepage is this fantastic landing space right here. And it says, visit the garden virtually. Hashtag our garden, your home. And it says view garden videos. If you click on that link, it actually takes you to the fabulous Discover and Share website. And this is where, if you've seen some of Cassidy's wonderful articles, or Andrea has linked an article that you've clicked on, all of that lives here on Discover and Share. But this is a great landing page to go and find many of the videos that are out there. And we have things like playlists. One of the first ones that, if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, that's really fantastic. And they have it listed under virtual tours, but it's very cool. If you haven't seen the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra partnership with the garden, it's really cool. Just a fun thing that came out last week. And just again, showing how all of us are operating from our homes, as all of our symphony players are. The other thing that you'll see down here is kind of some of the focus that we have as well on a lot of our other videos. So Cassidy did a fantastic series at Home with Horticulture where they talk about their own gardens and plants. And then our education group has actually started 3 channels. And we'll look at those on YouTube in just a second. But one is Therapeutic Hort has now launched their own channel. They'll be posting new sensory materials to help people at home. The most recent one is actually about exploring nature with your senses. And so it really is, how do I explore and get outside and engage with my senses? It's got some great advice as well as some beautiful sound landscaping. The next one that you'll see over here is our Storytime one. If you have not heard about Storytime, Storytime is a big initiative through most of education, actually. And it is linked to our Tales and Trails reading program, which if any of you have sat out at the visitor engagement desk, that is our summer reading program that we do each year. And we'll go from, I'll go to also showing you where people can sign up to do that. We haven't canceled our summer reading program. We've got some great stuff out there, and that's one of the big promotions that we have for families right now. And we'll come back to that in a minute. The last one that we have is our Dig In series, and that's actually a little bit more in-depth. Right now we have a couple of videos up there, one on seed dispersal and another on medicinal plants. So if you go to this landing page, and again, the best way to get here is to start here on this main page and visit the garden virtually. It's right here on that landing page. And all of the resources come up right here, which is really fantastic. This is also where you're going to see some of the apps that have come up. And we have our very own Zoom backgrounds, folks. So if you actually want a Zoom background and share the garden that way in your meetups with your friends and that kind of thing and really promote us, we now have those that you can download and share with others. So any questions kind of on that first landing page? Is any of this new to folks? Not really? Okay. So with that, then I'm going to go ahead and move on. If you have questions as we go on, please do not hesitate to ask those. So you've only seen the live videos from Facebook. So that's a good thing to know, Susan. Thank you. Facebook is linking to YouTube and these other places. So all of this stuff is linked. If you have the Facebook link, it will give you a chance to find those other resources, even though you may not have known that. So we're going to cover that next, because it is like we get a great Facebook video and then we're like, we want more. Where does it live? And that's how we find it. Especially for the education group, unfortunately, there is a lot coming from the garden. And so a lot of our priorities are coming from those everyday streams. So if you really want to find our education material, you may need to go to some other landing pages to share that publicly as well. And that's just because it takes a lot of feed to get a lot of information out. So we're going to share those education resources and where you can find them. So now that you've kind of seen our landing page here, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next stop. So if I were to click on any of these YouTube watch channels, that's actually going to take me to the Missouri Botanical Garden YouTube channel. If you happen to have a YouTube account, which you do not have to have a YouTube account to go here, this is kind of what our landing page looks like. But we have some really great things. Let's say you have grandkids or you have family friends that you want to share resources with. We have our playlist feature here. So I'm going to go to our playlists, and it's going to show you eventually, when it stops being mad at me, all of the different playlists that we have available. Our Green Living Festival was actually just a couple days ago. If you want to share some great updates on how to take care of things at home, the whole video stream of all of those different contexts and topics is right here. It's in one big playlist of different videos. Here's that lovely story time playlist that I was talking to you about. That's actually getting updated weekly, sometimes with 2 to 3 stories a week. And that's for kids and families. And then we also have our Education Dig In playlist here. Virtual tours, so any of those great tours that you're hearing from Cassidy, those are going to be right up here. And then we do have our new Therapeutic Horticulture playlist that will be populating things right now. It doesn't have a lot of publicly shared videos at the moment, So you're not going to see much there at the moment, but it is in here. So that's one way, is if you go there, you go, you know what, I want to share some stuff on Storytime. I want to see some cool things. So I'm going to go to the full playlist. And this is a great place where you have all these different videos. And if you want to share that, right at the bottom of any video, in this case, it's also at the bottom of the playlist, it'll have this big share arrow. And you just click on that, and you can share it to any number of sites, or you can copy it and put it in an email. And those give you lots of different options. Did everyone, were people able to see that pop up? I know that sometimes it's weird in that. Andrea, do you know if that pop up was visible?
Yeah, Morgan, I was able to see it. Was anyone not able to see that? Okay.
Great. I usually, if one person can see it, everyone can see it. It's just how it shares within the video. Thank you. I just wanted to double check. So that gives you an opportunity to find a story time you like, play it, be like, you know what, I think this one's perfect for my grandkids or whatever, and send that out there. If you're a huge Henry Shaw fan, Haley did do a lovely story time on Mr. Henry Shaw Moves to St. Louis. One of my favorite ones right now is there's a story time called Libby Wimbley's Bug Rescuer that was done by our own David Evans. And at the end of this session, you all are going to get a sneak peek at Peter Weiss Jackson's new upcoming story time. I'm very excited to share that with all of you. So I will have that playing for you at the end of this as kind of our virtual special treat. Our Dig In videos are going to be right here as well. So Dig In is our series really exploring new topics, and we have more videos that are coming.
Hi, welcome to Dig In.
So this one is all on seed dispersal. It's a great tool for kids and families that are trying to learn out in nature at home. And these all feel very passive, but actually if you look down in the comments, we have resources for people to click on, journals for them to print, other materials for them to take home and use out in their gardens. And that is also true of our summer reading programs. So that is YouTube and kind of all of the massive stuff that is there. The one other thing I will say about YouTube is that, and I'll do some highlights of our other education colleagues and other sites at the end, but both Shaw Nature Reserve and Butterfly House have their own YouTube channels and their own resources too. And I'll do some highlights at the very end of those, because we also are a garden and institution throughout, and we would love to share those different resources as well. So I'll show you their Facebook pages, but that is also where much of their landing pages for some of the fantastic stuff that they've been doing, like the Trails and Sounds and Sights series. That is that Andy who's doing that one?
Yes.
Yep, and it's fantastic. It's really fun if you need that nature exploration. And there's also some great crafts from Bailey that have been making their way out into the world. So those are some resources as well. Do we have any questions on YouTube? Has anyone struggled with this? It's kind of it's a lot for the new concept of where everything lives.
Morgan, can I share just a quick clarification?
Yes, absolutely.
The continuing education, because I have had some questions about this. So what Morgan has just shared with us is the Missouri Botanical Gardens YouTube account. All the presentations that are shared volunteer related. So any presentations like these continuing education opportunities, anything that's any trainings or anything volunteer specific is a separate MBG account. So MBG Volunteer Presentations has its own YouTube channel. So if you're looking for these presentations on the Missouri Botanical Gardens YouTube, you will not find them because they're two separate accounts. So I just wanted to clarify that because a lot of times I'm linking you to that account or asking you to subscribe or whatnot. So hopefully that makes sense. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Barb. So hopefully that clarifies. I just wanted to mention that.
All right. So one of the other things that I've mentioned is that the YouTube stuff and the videos, there's sort of a passive element to them. So people engaging with them, it's very much watch this, go do those things. You'll see the link to Tales and Trails with every single one of our Storytime videos that's out there. And that'll be that actually allows us to kind of start talking about the engagement aspect of some of our resources. So Tales and Trails and actually has its own landing web page these days. For those of you, the web page, and I will type it in here so for everyone who would like to know what it is. It is mobot.org Tales and Trails, and that will bring anyone who is looking for a summer reading series or a book series to do with their family right here. Oh, sorry, I think I just set that to Andrea, not everybody.
Here, Morgan, I'll copy it.
Thank you.
It's going to everyone now.
And this is what it looks like when you land there. So Tales and Trails is part of that Storytime connection. So these are all those digital stories that are available to kids to listen to. And we have even a summer online reading log for them to submit that to so that they can get the prize packs like they have done in the past. It's a great family activity, and it also comes with a huge list of suggestions and the reading PDF of books that kids can read over the summer and go from there. So if you have families or friends or people that would want to take on a reading program, this is a great one for it. And they can, when they click on this lovely link here, Online Summer Reading Log, they'll open this document, which you can log back into every single time. And they can fill out all of their books that they read throughout the summer. So it gives them a chance to track their reading. It gives them a chance to see some online nature stories and also encourage kids to get outside and read. So that's one of our great summer programs that we're still running. And there will still be, as far as I know, prize packs when they complete it when they go to any of our locations that they can get from all of their hard work reading over the summer. So that's one of our first interactives that's out there for education. Has anyone had a chance, is anyone currently using Tales and Trails or know someone who's using Tales and Trails? Because we're just getting the news out about this one. All right, awesome. So if it's new, this is a great thing to share. If you're on Facebook, share the Tales and Trails site, get it out there for families, and also all those free book resources that we're producing online. So those story times are coming out weekly, and they are kid oriented, and they're a great way to get kids reading. So Tales and Trails is one of those great resources. We also have one of the resources that is really not advertised right now, and we're trying to get it out there. You may have caught it on a couple of the Gardens feeds, but that is actually our guide by cell. And while I have this open here in front of you, this is a web page version of it. If you are reading Andrea's Vine, you probably found a link to the virtual Tower Grove house. But it's not the only page that we have out there. You can actually access all of this by your phone or on your web page. And it allows you to look at different spaces. Currently, we have 2 at-home quizzes on there. This is what your landing page will kind of look like on your phone. It looks a little distorted online. It's designed for your phone. To access it via phone, you would basically type in a text message, and this does apply to normal text message fees and everything like that. And you type a text message, and I'll put that number. I believe this is, I'm thinking, I usually have this number pulled up in front of me, and for some reason I don't right now. I will type it out for in a second, but you actually type the words "my guide," and it can be written any way, all one word, into to the number, I believe that is our actual number, and then it will come up, it'll give you a link, and it'll land you to this lovely landing page. And we have different scavenger hunts that are available. So one of those is our nature scavenger hunt, and it's an activity that people can do at home, and they can fill in information, take selfies, share that with us, and it's really designed for families. And the other one is that first page that you saw, which is the virtual Tower Grove house. Has everyone, I know that was sent out in one of Andrea's Vines, has everyone had a chance to explore the virtual Tower Grove house? Good. So some people have definitely seen it. It is web page accessible, and we can put that out a little bit more. We're trying to find a general landing page, and I'll talk about that as well. But this gives some of our fun history of Tower Grove. And as we're getting updates and as we're learning more information and more articles are published on our history, this will also be a place where all of that material is linked. So if you have hopes of learning more about Tower Grove House, this isn't a static page. As we get more information to things, it will live here. For those of you who attended the Harriman exhibit, the Harriman exhibit and all of those maps and the interactives live here as well. Those are in our main exhibit page. So you'll find those. Let me go to my main page. Actually right here in the exhibit room. And you can go here to explore the ArcGIS map of the expedition, which is very cool. So that gives that is our guide by cell platform. We are also going to be doing another literacy one called ABCs with plants and exploring those. And these will be interactives that are updated. And that same thing of texting my guide to 5256226 is going to activate this. So anyone who has that access, you can do digital engagement, you can take photos, you can answer questions and quizzes that are going in there. And as we create more materials, it's a landing page for that, as well as some of our other virtual tours once we get back to the garden. So people will be able to access tours of the garden on their phone easily. Any questions? I know I'm just dropping a ton of information out there. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and continue on. So the guide by cell platform gives us a lot to work with, and we're going to continue to explore that further. That's also where our sustainability tour is currently living, and we'll be having more features there and hopefully even opening up some of our other tours that we used to have at the garden digitally as we have guests returning to the garden. It gives us an opportunity to interact without necessarily being able to talk to someone. So I mentioned before, we're going to talk a little bit about our other sites. This is kind of the same thing as when you go onto your main Missouri Botanical Garden page. Our colleagues at Shaw and at the Butterfly House, their main landing pages are hosting some of the things that are happening with them. The Butterfly House has been doing virtual snack chats. Those live on Facebook, and people have kind of a set time where everyone can show up and talk about things. I'm sure you've seen some of Cassie's virtual tours posted to Facebook. All of our landing pages also link to the Facebook pages. So the first Facebook page, of course, would be the Missouri Botanical Garden Facebook page. And that's where a lot of messages are getting posted. If you find something, if you see something posted here that you want to share, I'm sure you've seen the share feature before. You're going to click on that, share it out. Now, if you don't see something posted here, like our Tales and Trails or one of our other education programs that you want to share, you can easily share those from that original page. So if it's a YouTube video or any of those things, you can share those and tag it with Missouri Botanical Garden so that that's where people know it's coming from. Shaw also has some really excellent videos. Here's the nature tasking materials that Bailey was doing. This is also where you can find Andy's walks, and great material as you get questions from friends who are going back to the garden of, how do I do this? Well, each of our sites really has these great tips on how to prepare to come and visit the garden. And as volunteers and as staff, that's one of the big things that we can do right now is just continue to promote the information that's out there so that people feel like they're prepared before they actually reach grounds. And then here's the butterfly houses. They've been doing their critter talks, much like the zoo has been doing, and those are good things to follow on Facebook as well. Again, those reshares are really what makes a big difference for getting it out in front of community eyes. So that kind of gives me a start on things. The other project that we have coming up on our main page is that we are going to be creating a more education-based landing page for all of this material. So that will have all of our videos, our dig-ins, our story time series. We have the things coming in from therapeutic horticulture, which if you go to their page, that's starting to generate its own set of materials. We also have public programs, hopefully, that will be adding some of their materials out there. Storytime is a collection of things from all of our education staff, not just interpretation, so that's a great place. And Dig In will also have some non-interpretation materials coming out as well from our larger programs out there. So this is just one of the ways that we're trying to get our things out there, but really it's also to appeal to all of you and our volunteers, because we need your help. The garden only has one major line, which is their Facebook feed, as well as their Instagram and Twitter accounts, but they're all kind of posting the same thing. So if we want to share the great educational materials that we have to kind of share them individually. And that means promoting it on our own personal pages or sharing that directly with people that we know want those resources. Since we know that the garden, sometimes when we get on it, is this webpage, as much as we all love it, it's hard to find all the stuff that's out there unless you're really, really looking and you know it exists. So we're trying to make that easier. The first place to always start with all those video resources is really this page on Discover and Share. It's constantly being updated by our communications colleagues, Cassidy and John Dedeke. And as we do more things, that'll be there. You'll see this also kind of gives you the quick guides to some things in there as well. So that kind of brings me through the rough run through of everything. There's obviously stuff still being created. I know I have several colleagues on here as well. So I'm going to reach out and say, I'll pause for a second here and we can open up the floor to a little bit more discussion and thoughts on this topic or concerns that people have, challenges you've had navigating, things like that. If you want to unmute and ask a question, that is totally fine.
And Morgan, before we get into questions, will you clarify for us, because we do have some people that are not using all of these or any of these platforms, and you showed us how to share those if we're logged into our platforms, but we can still be sharing this information with friends and family, even if we're not on these platforms.
Yes, so I can definitely go back to that YouTube screen really quick. One of the big things on a lot of this is that if you don't want to log into or create an account on these platforms, you don't have to. Most of us, especially if we're already in a Zoom, we have an email. And email is a way that we can share this with friends and family members or distribute it to other people. And I will go ahead and show you where you can do that. Give me just a second. All right. So right now we're in kind of a YouTube channel. This is a little bit locked because it's one that I'm going to share with you in a minute. But right here on any of these, and you don't have to be logged in to do this. You don't have to have a YouTube account, nothing. You just have to have an email. You go to that share button. It's going to come up and it says create post. Don't worry about the create post. You don't have to do that. You're going to come down here and you're going to press copy. Copy is going to copy that link for the address for that YouTube piece, whatever thing you're wanting to share. And then you can go to your regular email, whatever it is, and just paste that email directly in, and it will link that video. So whatever you want to share, even if you don't have a platform to share it on, if you want to send it to family, if you want to send it to friends, it's very easy to do that via email, and you just paste that link and that allows people access to find it. So that's one way that you can share without having a Facebook account, without having a Twitter or Instagram or any of those. Does that answer the question, Andrea? So that's one great way to do that. You can also do the same thing if you find an article. You can copy the link in your web page, and I can show you that really quick too. So let's say, you know, you really like this big drop page that has all of our great garden resources right here. You want to share that, you can come up here you click, you right click, and you copy. And then same thing, you can just drop that into an email to share with friends and colleagues.
Thank you, Morgan. That does help. I know early on when we started sending all this information out virtually, some people were like, I don't have an Instagram, but I want to share this photo. Or like, do I need do I need this platform to see this information? And I think that's still a question we get from time to time.
I found for folks who are heavily email communicators, this works really, really well. It's very similar to Andrea, going out and doing her Vine. All right. Do we have other questions out there?
So far, no questions, Morgan. Everyone's very tech savvy, I guess. Moving right along.
Is any of this new knowledge? Are these new things that you had not seen the garden having? I guess is the other question, because I don't know how much material has gotten out there.
I have seen some of them, but not all of them. And this is really, and this is Veronica, by the way, this is very educational. Thank you. My chat button's not working for some reason, so I won't be able to communicate that way right now.
That's okay.
Thanks.
I'm glad that it's helping. That's the big thing, is that we've got all these resources out there, but there's a lot of resources out there. So it's about elevating what we have and showing people where to find it. Other thoughts, questions? I know we have colleagues out there. Is there any one of those that have questions about material that they want produced, or where we could put it if it was produced? All right. Well, I don't have terribly. Yes, Andrea?
Barb's asking if you could text the links.
Yeah. Would you like me to text them this way? So the same.
Barb, sorry, Morgan, to interrupt you, but Barb, are you asking about like being able to text the links to other people? I think that's what she means.
Yeah, you can easily text the links to other people. So if you have a link on your phone, it's the same thing. You can actually, after you copy them, you can text them, or instead of emailing them, same thing. Anyone who has an internet-enabled phone will be able to access it through that text. Absolutely. If you're on your phone finding it, the same thing is you can kind of hold down on your browse section and copy that link, and it'll do the same thing. Text is a great way to send information to others. Same way you can use it in email, it operates in text. You can even text to people's emails. It's crazy. So I'm going to very quickly pull up a video here that I want to share with all of you. You are the first ones to see it. It may get edits before it goes public to everybody. So our latest story time, we are very excited, is actually being read by Peter Weiss-Jackson, we were delighted that Dr. Weiss-Jackson took the time to read this lovely story about dandelions. So I am going to go ahead and put that up and share that with all of you and give you an opportunity. Yes, John, that's actually, sorry. If you wrote a short article with instructions for activities and things, that's one thing that we could do in Guide by Cell. It is also something that we're looking at our new education landing page to place, is to have a resource for those materials. So here comes the first draft of this story by Peter Weiss-Jackson. I'm going to pull it up and share it with you. And while that is playing, I am actually going to run very quickly and get my cord because my computer's about to die. So I will get that up for you guys and we'll get it started.
Oh no, Morgan, come back. Morgan's computer died. This happens sometimes. Hello, everyone. Not the video, but this is really exciting. It's coming back. Nobody leave. It's coming back. Oh, good. Barb knows this story. Does anyone else know this story? If you saw it about the dandelion seed.
Not me.
Oh, good. We're gonna see a little draft of it today, and
Awesome.
I'm excited. I didn't think we were gonna get to see this today, so this is very exciting. I'm surprised we don't have any questions. Normally, you guys have a lot of questions about technology. Normally, I get a lot of technology questions that I cannot answer. So luckily, Morgan's here when she comes back to answer our technology questions. Susan, you mentioned in the chat earlier that you were excited to see more of these stories, and that's good because the Vine that's going to come out eventually sometime today has a lot of, I'm linking a lot of the recent Storytime videos. And now you know where to find all of those. Okay, so Morgan is back.
Sorry, I'm back.
She's
My
back.
apologies.
No problem.
That was
You warned us that the computer was dying. It happens. Maybe this is like a new trend.
it's okay. At least I was able to like mention it first. Okay, so
Morgan, you left us with the exciting cliffhanger of.
I did. It was like ready to play and everything.
Okay, everyone's still here, so that's good.
All right. So, here we go. Welcome to Storytime with the Garden. This week we are excited to have Dr. Peter Weiss Jackson, the president of the Missouri Botanical Garden, join us to read The Dandelion Seed by Joseph Anthony, illustrated by Chris Arbo.
The Dandelion Seed. It was autumn in the garden. All of the flowers had died and dropped their seeds. Only one seed was left, a little dandelion seed, who was afraid to let go. But the winter wind began to blow. The stronger the wind blew, the tighter the seed hung on, until it felt the wind blowing right through it. Then the seed left the garden behind. It became part of the wind and was carried away. The world was bigger than the seed imagined. It was also more frightening, more lonely. And more beautiful. The more the seed saw, the smaller it felt. It wondered where it belonged. The seed landed when snow began to fall. It listened in silence as peace covered it like a blanket. Finally, spring came. Sunshine warmed the air and the soil, and the little seed began to grow tiny leaves and roots. Its leaves spread wide to gather sunlight. Its roots reached deep to drink fresh rain. Soon the seed flowered into the bright, delicate dandelion it was meant to be. It shared its green leaves with deer and rabbits. It gave sweet nectar to bees and butterflies. Then, almost overnight, the life that began as one little dandelion seed ripened into many. They each became part of the wind and were carried away. All except one. "Don't be afraid," whispered the dandelion. "The wind and the sun and the rain will take care of you. Let go, and you will see." You will see.
So it actually goes on, and if you have not seen Dr. Peter Weiss-Jackson's piece, then there is actually a follow-up afterwards where Peter Weiss-Jackson talks about how and why he loves dandelions so much. And so it actually talks about him in the garden and how he enjoys dandelions as plants. So I hope that you all enjoyed that. As somebody watching it, I now have like 6 things to edit. But I hope you enjoyed it, and it will go public soon. And this is a great video to share. So as soon as you have the opportunity to do that, I'm sure Andrea will put it in the Vine. And of course, it will live on the Storytime playlist. So that is a great place to find it and direct people to it, and share via Facebook, or to link it also in your chats and your emails to friends, and share that out. So that is all I have for all of you today, unless you have questions about how we're moving forward with virtual MBG. We're going to continue in this process. This is far from over for us, and it will probably be a large feature for us moving forward. It does allow us to reach places that we're not able to reach beyond St. Louis. And so it's something that's very exciting that's come out of this challenging time. Any questions, folks?